And welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode. I'm just going to sort my microphone out. Hold on. There it is. We're all good. We're all sorted. Thank you. Sorry about that. Really random, strange start to the show. That's me not checking what microphone selected, but hopefully it's all sounding good and well. Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. It's match day, of course, finally here. And you'll have probably recognised that the shirt has finally arrived as well. Fantastic stuff. Very happy indeed. Let's jump into the chat box and say some mornings to people. Manu, good morning to you, to Clear Away Dave, to Ahmed, to Morgie, to PJ and Akshat and James. Good morning, guys. Kevin and Rohit and Stevie and Jose and Matt G. Good morning. Marcus and Harvey and Paul. We've got John Sanders. We've got Stephen. We've got Kaiser and Temi. We've got Olu. We've got Reese. We've got Rancid Pumpkin and Brad and Michael and Trag and so many more as well. Thank you so much, as always, for making this part of your morning routines, doing these shows every morning at 8 a.m. or on episode, 240 something. Really good stuff. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in as per. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it, Lynn? It's very nice indeed. We're going to be wearing this shirt in the game away at Bournemouth today. It's the only kit that doesn't clash, with the red and black of Bournemouth. So it does make sense. Hopefully, some of the guys can start picking up some of their biggest performances of the season so far in it. You can watch the preview show that I did, of course, on the channel with the members from earlier on this week on the channel. That is in one of our uploads. So make sure you've caught up on that if you haven't done so already. But without further ado, let's jump into today's show. As always, the show is sponsored by Football Prizes. The third prize is already sold out this week, and there is now a 12-hour prize competition to win a signed Alexander Zinchenko shirt. 99 tickets available. Link in the description. £2.95 a ticket. You can actually choose between 3 shirts, Tyler Adams and Trent Alexander-Arnold. But we all know who you would most likely pick, or at least I hope that you do. And so you can get your hands on an Alexander Zinchenko signed shirt. So make sure you head over to Football Prizes, link in the description. We have also reached that time of year again. Those that are long-time listeners of the channel have been listening for the best part of a year now will know that we take part in the Football Content Awards. Last year, we were very, very fortunate and very thankful to take the Bronze Awards for Best Club Content Creator. You can see the awards hanging over there. I thought I should better put it up during this period of promotion. It's not been up on the wall. It's been downstairs on the windowsill. So it now takes pride of place for the next few weeks or so whilst we're going through the nomination stage. So if you'd like to vote for us, if you really appreciate the work that goes into putting on these shows for you every single day, you can do that. There's several ways that you can vote. If you want to tweet it, if you just go to www.votefortgt.com, it will create a tweet for you that you just then press tweet. It's really simple and easy. You can also vote on Instagram by tagging at the Gooner Talk in the Football Content Awards Instagram pages post. Make sure you look out for the picture on the right-hand side of your screen and then just tag the Gooner Talk in there. And lastly, you can vote on the Football Content Awards website. If you go down to Best Club Content Creator Premier League and then just type in the Gooner Talk, you can vote there. So fingers crossed. Who knows? It's going to be a very, very competitive competition this year, even more so than last year. So we really need your help if we're going to get through to the nomination stage. And there are your instructions. I'll continue to talk about this on shows, so bear with me if you've already voted. Thank you. But it'd be great to see how far we can take it again this year. Yesterday, myself and Harry Symeou had a good chat about Nicolas Pepe. I'll talk more about that in a second, but make sure that you've caught up on the latest Canton and Symeou show. It's the last upload before this on the channel. And some sad news, unfortunately, as well, as Arsenal's groundsman Steve Braddock passed away. Really sad news, and Arsenal will be wearing black armbands to commemorate his life in the game against Bournemouth this evening. So our thoughts, of course, go out to his friends and close family. And there's an amazing tribute on the Arsenal website as well, if you want to go and read that. From starting his work all the way back with George Graham in 1987 until through to the present. So amazing work by Steve, and very sad to hear of his passing. Moving through to Arsenal transfer news, and specifically Arsenal-related transfer news regarding Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Arsenal will watch on in intrigue as Chelsea chase Aubameyang. According to David Ornstein, Chelsea have lodged a £15 million plus Marcus Alonso bid for the striker. Barcelona aren't interested now in Marcus Alonso, however, it seems, and they just want straight cash and could end up earning about £22 million for the signing of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I wrote a piece yesterday up on football.london talking about why Arsenal and Chelsea and Barca are in a completely different state, why Arsenal shouldn't necessarily be criticised for missing out on that payoff. There are a number of factors as to why there is a big payoff coming for Barcelona with Aubameyang, and why, of course, Arsenal weren't able to access that kind of payoff. All of the details are in that article. You can go and read that over on my page on football.london, as you can find in the link tree in the video description. Gabriel Martinelli is in search of a new deal. And according to Mark Van Bryans of PA, he tweeted yesterday saying that there are indications that Arsenal are to start talks with the player over a brand new contract to put him onto a significantly higher wage, to put him in line with some of the biggest earners, to reflect his place in the team. He does have 2 years remaining on his contract with the option of adding a third year. So it does run technically through to 2025, but Arsenal want to maintain that long-term analogy with their best players. They want to reward them for good seasons and, of course, breed that kind of success model that if you perform, you can earn yourself a very, very impressive deal indeed with the team. And so therefore, hopefully Arsenal can extend his deal by a couple of years at least and maintain that security with the player's contract. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. Martinelli has come out significantly in the past and also talked about how he wants to stay at the club forever. So, and going to the under-21s games as well. Great to see him kind of really integrating into the culture of Arsenal Football Club. So there shouldn't be too much of an issue in getting him to sign that brand new deal. Now, we now know, as widespread reports through from The Athletic all the way through to French reports like RMC Sport, Nicolas Pepe is close to a loan move to Nice. There are reports claiming that it is just a loan. I've seen Chris Carpenter, of course, of a Bergkamp Wonderland and French Football Weekly, who's got some very good contacts in with French football, claiming that there is an option to buy in this loan deal of around 15 million, rising up to about 22 with add-ons. Doesn't seem like loads. If it was to complete the add-ons, of course, 22, I think, would be a relatively fair price considering the situation that Pepe finds himself in and the length of contract he would, of course, have at the end of the season. But a loan move to Nice appears to be what Arsenal are very open to doing right now. And as The Athletic reported, this does mean that Arsenal's priority is said to be signing a winger between now and the end of the transfer window. That will be Arsenal's priority move, not a central midfielder, despite all the talk about Yuri Tielemans and other positions and other players in that area. Arsenal's priority between now and the end of the window is bringing in a wide player. Who that is, the mystery winger, as we've all been talking about for quite some time, we ultimately don't yet know. But that is the area that they are targeting as a priority. And hopefully Arsenal can find some quality between now and the end of the season. But yes, Nicolas Pepe closing in on a loan move to Nice. Now, Arteta completed his press conference ahead of the game against Bournemouth yesterday. He talked about a number of things, including transfers, in which he talked about the fact that only quality can come through the door. When asked about if our good start has changed our transfer plans, he says, no, we are still in the same position. Obviously, the market gives you a lot of information, something that you that you expect that you could get, you are not getting, and the same when it's ins and outs. But we are focused on the players that we have right now and getting the best out of them. Still, he kind of talked specifically about making sure that they got quality, or making sure it's the right players. He says it has to be the right person. It has to be the right player. We want to only bring top quality through that door. Otherwise, it's not worth it. And when he was asked about if we didn't get the right player in, would he be happy with the squad? He says, I'll be totally happy and focused on getting the best out of those players. I know that won't be music to people's ears, hearing Arteta talk about the fact that we may not sign someone. However, what I would say is the club are still very active. They're still looking to see if they can add quality to the team. If they think they can add quality, they will do it. And that's the right approach. We don't want them doing a Man United or to a lesser extent a Chelsea and just adding players for the sake of adding players. There needs to be plans. There needs to be strategy about what we do. And I agree with this, that we only want quality coming through the door. We don't want numbers for the sake of numbers. And it is about trying to sign the right players between now and the window's closure. But I think we've got a very good squad. I think the squad that we have right now is very capable of qualifying for the Champions League next season. Very capable indeed. So anything from this point forward is to help push us on even further. I hope that we can do it. let's just wait and see what indeed does end up happening. And that, I believe, completes all of today's stories, which means we're going to go into the chat box, answer as many of your questions as we can. So now is the time to start throwing them in, and we'll tackle those after this quick break. Of course, as I said at the start of the show, today's football prize is an ending in less than 12 hours' time, a signed Alexander Zinchenko shirt. You can find a link to the competition at $2.95 a ticket in today's description. And you will also find a link in the description to vote for us in the Best Club Content Creator for Premier League in the Football Content Awards for those that joined late and missed this at the start of the show. If you've enjoyed the content that we've produced every single day and the effort that's gone into making content for you more than twice a day in some cases, please do help support the channel and go over and vote for us either on Twitter by going to www.votefortgt.com, on Instagram by tagging us in the Football Content Awards relevant post, of which you can see the picture that corresponds to the category on the right hand side of your screen, or you can go over to the FCA's website and type in our name in the relevant category as well. Okay, let's go into the chat box and tackle some of your questions. Brad says, will you be happy with El Neni replacing Partey for any prolonged period, which will happen? Brad, the honest answer is with El Neni, and don't forget Lokonga, who can, of course, both play there as well. We will not be, quote unquote, happy with that. But the question, of course, is who do you sign to bring in to compete with Partey? It's a very difficult question to answer because you might go, oh, this player. But the reality of the situation is spending 50 odd million quid on a Moises Caicedo isn't going to happen because Brighton have no interest in selling. The only realistic options for me that are out there that could be viable are the likes of Guillermo Rodriguez, the likes of Edson Alvarez at Ajax. These are potential options for Arsenal. But then what you are doing is you are investing 20 million plus in a player that doesn't necessarily guarantee you upgrades on what you already have. And I don't think that I necessarily want to see Arsenal spend big on a player that isn't an upgrade on players that are already existing at the club. Yeah, look, Casemiro, that type of deal is exactly the kind of thing Arsenal should be avoiding at all costs. Going and spending 70 odd million quid on a 30-year-old very good midfielder when you're trying to rebuild and push forwards is not the type of move that you should be looking to make. Let's go to Trouble, I think. Says, how can people say Pepe is finished when he hasn't been given a chance? And when he does get given a chance, it's a 10-minute cameo in a game we're trying to see or have already lost. For me, Pepe was given opportunities and did play significant games. If you remember at the start of last season, Saka was forced over to the left-hand side and started the season on that left-hand side with Saka playing therefore on the right. With Pepe playing on the right. That chance wasn't taken. And eventually, to try and arrest the form of the start of the season, we then moved, of course, Nicolas Pepe onto the bench. Saka came to the right and Smith Rowe came onto the left-hand side. And then when Gabriel Martinelli eventually worked his way into the team, it pushed Pepe out of the side completely. You can't give Pepe games for the sake of it. Pepe's style doesn't suit Arsenal. It just doesn't work. It's not to say Pepe's a bad player. He's just a player that isn't suited to what Arsenal are playing or suited to what Arsenal are doing. And they are much better off moving him on and finding a player that does suit what Arsenal are trying to do. Antonas says, how's the 5-sub rule affect this season? Would managers take full advantage? So far doesn't seem like it will be an overpowered rule in my opinion. What do you think? Good question. I think it's something that we may perhaps see more used and kind of manipulated a little bit later on in the season. We are in a situation, of course, whereby bigger clubs at the moment have those bigger teams. The squad is bigger. There's more quality running through it. So it does benefit the bigger teams more so. And Arsenal have a very good squad right now. You look at the bench compared to the end of last season, it's night and day. So we should be looking to try and use that and exploit that rule as much as we can. Manu says, why am I being criticised so much when I say top 4 is a trophy? The financial impact and draw in the market you get from it outweighs a lot of silverware. No. Abuse, obviously not in this chat. Good. I'm glad it's not in this chat. I think that criticism for calling it a trophy, I wouldn't criticize you for calling it a trophy, but I personally wouldn't call it a trophy myself. I would say that it is equivalent in terms of what you can benefit from it as to a trophy. And in some cases, especially at the League Cup, it's even more beneficial than winning the League Cup, qualifying for the Champions League. Is it a trophy? No. And I think that probably downplays the terminology of trophy. But is it more beneficial than winning some trophies? Yes, it is, if we're being very honest. So I know people treat it like a trophy, and certain Arsene Wenger effectively treated it like a trophy. It's very beneficial for you in terms of trying to build yourself forwards. All the Champions League should be, or qualification for the Champions League for Arsenal should be, as a stepping stone. It shouldn't be a target in terms of that's the end goal. The Champions League qualification has to be a springboard to success to try and climb Arsenal back to the absolute upper echelons of football, competing for titles, competing for the Champions League. That's what qualification for the Champions League should be to Arsenal. It's not an end goal. It is a next step for Arsenal. That's the context of what it is. Ian says, is saying the goal is Champions League football contributing to our low standards, just as making excuses for our no new signs? I think, Ian, I just literally addressed that, so I hope that answered your question. Tom says, any thoughts on Arteta's comments about every top club needing 3 centre forwards? Could it be a hint to another signing? I think it's more so a point that Arsenal need to make sure they've got options that go down to plan A, B, C in that position. Arsenal have Gabriel Martinelli right now, who, of course, I think folds into that number 3 position at striker, should we need him. Fabio Vieira has also played in a false 9 position a number of times for Porto. And, of course, there's a potential to sign a player between now and the end of the window. Is it a hint? I don't think so, Tom. I don't think Arteta would want to hint towards anything right now. And I think Arteta would be looking to say he's going to try and get the best from the players that he's ultimately got right now. And if that doesn't work out in terms of the market, he's already kind of covered that side of things. Let's go into the chat a little bit more. Anthony says Udinese supposedly in talks to sign Bellerin. Can see him going on the last day. I think he'll probably move on deadline day as well. Jean says, how would you compose our midfield with the Arsenal players available if Partey gets injured? For me, I think it would be El Neni that comes in, plays alongside Granit Xhaka. That's just the most likely solution. El Neni is a massively underrated player. He hasn't obviously played in a prolonged period. And if we're being very honest, Partey has probably been our weakest midfielder so far this season. So let's not act as if like he's playing at a world-class level right now. Partey has probably been our weakest midfielder so far. So whilst we talk about him being on paper a world-class player, which I think that he is, his performances have not necessarily corresponded to the expectations of that. So if he is to be out, I don't necessarily think the level difference contextually to how his performances have been on the field so far would necessarily correspond too damningly on switching him out for a Lokonga or switching him out for a Mohamed El Neni right now. Let's go. And again, Lionheart, Pepe isn't quote unquote finished. His Arsenal career for me, I think, is finished, but his career as a footballer certainly isn't. Ramsey says, should we go for Naby Keita? He seems to be unsettled at Liverpool and his contract is running out. Again, he plays more in that kind of box-to-box role. He's not a number 6. He started out as a number 6 at Salzburg and gradually moved further forward as he progressed and developed through that team and eventually joined Liverpool, playing in that central midfield role. He's not a number 6, though, so don't expect him to be a replacement for Thomas Partey. Qua says, do you think Xhaka could play the Partey role in case of an injury? If he does, he would need Mohamed El Neni next to him. For me, Xhaka as a number 6 doesn't get the best from him. I think we're seeing the best from Granit Xhaka in the role that he's playing right now because that is his best position. A central midfielder, a deep line playmaker that can move forwards. That is what he's playing right now, and I think it's working. If we move him back to the number 6 position, I think it restricts him. I don't think you get the best from him. I don't think you get his passing capabilities to the best of their ability. I don't think you get his direct impact on the forward line as much as you do. Tackling-wise, I mean, in terms of tackling last season, I was looking at a comparison to Tielemans. He made less tackles than Yuri Tielemans last year and a less success rate with tackles last year. He isn't a defensive midfielder. That is not what Xhaka is. Could he play there? Potentially. But I would hope that if Arsenal make a signing on top of a wide player this season, that they do try to bring someone in potentially on loan in the number 6 role. But I have a feeling that they're happy with the numbers that they've got in the area that they currently have in the team. Sharif says, hi, Tom. Do you think signing Cody Gakpo is realistic? I think he really suits the Premier League. I unfortunately don't. I don't think Arsenal are really looking at him as a potential option at the moment. because he's more of a left-sided player, and I think they're looking to more right-sided players. VDub says it's quite obvious that we need a right wing and DM, but what about another striker? I think for me, the wide forward covers that role, VDub. So there you go. And thank you for voting for us in the FCAs as well. Really appreciate that. Clockwork Tangerine says, did you see Tete's performance for Lyon last night? I think we should look for him next summer, a left-footed right wing and Brazilian. I didn't, but I will endeavour to try and check it out, Tangerine. I will try and do that. Akshat says, thoughts on the supposed Maguire-Pulisic swap deal? Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, you pretty much summed up my thoughts with that. Maguire to Chelsea. Those two clubs this summer in the transfer window have just been rather hilarious. Chelsea have managed to pull off some good deals, but Man United, goodness me. What a team. I mean, they'll be buzzing if they get rid of Maguire and replace him with Pulisic. They've got Martinez and Varane and Lindelof still there, of course, as depth. Not good, but certainly depth. So you've got Varane and Martinez there too already. I'm sure there's someone else I'm forgetting. I think they've sent Eric Bailly on loan to Marseille now. Potentially they need to sign a centre-back between now and the end of the window if they do let Harry Maguire leave. Olu says, hey, Tom, have you noticed the change in Partey's play? I think Mikel is making us less dependent on him in the build-up with Zinchenko and Odegaard dropping to help. I absolutely think that you're right. And I think that if you are over-reliant on a central midfielder, that's dangerous because, of course, a player like Partey, who we know is unreliable in terms of his fitness, we cannot be over-reliant upon him. So having a player like Zinchenko coming into the team is really impressive and really helpful to that because his combination play of the left-sided central midfielder, which in our case is Xhaka, has enabled us to alleviate that expectation and the responsibility from Partey. So yes, I think you make an absolutely fantastic point. Let's go to Ross, who says, Tom, do you believe Ndidi would be a better signing than Tielemans, given what cover is most important? Now, if I have a look at Wilfred Ndidi as a player, he is, 25 years of age. He has a contract until 2024, 2 years remaining on his deal. But he's valued on Transfermarkt at £54 million. And I imagine that Leicester would ask for something close to that amount of money if you were to go and sign him. Is it realistic that Arsenal are going to spend 50 million quid on a player that doesn't currently start? I don't think that it is. Am I saying that's what Arsenal shouldn't do? No, obviously, I'd be delighted if we went out and did that. But realistically, I can't see us doing it. I can't see Arsenal going out and spending 50 million on a player that doesn't start for us right now in this moment in time. I think it would suit Arsenal a lot more maybe if they sign someone on loan for a season until next summer to see what happens, especially with Elneny signing that brand new contract. I just can't see it happening logistically. I just don't see how it fits into the transfer plans this summer. Let's go to... let's scroll down a little bit more. Semakula says, do you see Marquinhos being on the bench? Potentially, because he wasn't involved in the youth team game the other day. Pepe obviously not being there. I've imagined that Pepe might not be on the bench today. He still could be. You know, Pablo Mari was on the bench, so was Leno right up until they were leaving. So there is scope for them, of course, to still be on the bench, even if they haven't moved yet. But if Pepe isn't on the bench, I think that's a big sign. Marquinhos potentially. And I would also look out for Yuri Tielemans not starting the game for Leicester today. There's rumours that he might not be starting the game too. Crispy Rice says, Neto just signed a new contract with Wolves. It is. He signed that new deal this year all the way through to 2027. They would easily be asking for upwards of 80 million quid, you feel? I think maybe upwards of 60 million is more realistic, but still, that's a lot of money. Kabenga says, Tom, you said Partey's Arsenal career is over. I will quote you on that. No, I didn't. Unless I've just messed up my words at some point. I'm pretty sure I did not say that at all. Feel free to send me the minute, though, when I did, if I did. I know I've said things before where I've said one player thinking I'm saying another player. It's what happens when you wake up at 8 a.m. and do a show. And Ndidi is only going to regress from here. Why, Yomi? He's 25. If anything, he's going to go upwards in terms of his ability. You know, midfielders, you know, prime years, you're looking at 23 through to about 27. Those, they're prime years. And some midfielders even go on to exceed that. I think Granit Xhaka has primed and peaked during his 29-30s. The best years of Granit Xhaka have come more recently. So I don't think that's true at all about Ndidi. I think maybe people underestimate how young he still is as well. Very interesting player indeed. Sam says, Tom, who would you loan in for that CDM role? It's a great question. Who would you loan in? What player is available on the market that a club would be willing to allow to leave on loan that is of a quality that's high enough, of course, to compete with Partey and outstrip El Neni and Lokonga. It's very, very difficult indeed. Thank you, chat box. I thought I said Pepe. I definitely did not say Partey. Gavin says, how many Premier League titles are we going to win this season? One or one? Love that, Gavin. Benjamin says, Tom, if we don't sign any more players, where do you think we will finish? Fourth. I would still predict fourth. I think this club, the squad that we've got available, is absolutely capable of finishing fourth in the table this season. Mohammed says, hello, Tom. Apart from top four being the priority, which trophy would you see Arsenal competing in and might win? The Europa League. The Europa League, of course, the toughest opponent in that competition you would look to right now is, well, it's not Man United, is it? It's probably one of the European sides who, did Betis make it into the competition this season, potentially? So, yeah, it's going to be one of those European teams that are the most tricky opponent for Arsenal in that competition. I think that Man United could even have a really tough group stage if they don't really kind of pull their finger out in terms of their squad and their form. Who knows? So the Europa League, I think, is the most likely competition Arsenal can win on top of getting top four, because as well, if you win your group now, you go through to the last 16 straight away. You don't have to play those last 32 games. You know, you go straight through to the last 16, which makes it an easier competition to win as well. Vidal says, what about your goal count prediction for Aubameyang if he comes back? I'd expect him to get 10 goals in the Premier League, probably for Chelsea. I don't see why he wouldn't if he's the starting striker week in, week out for them. They have a lot of players that are very good and suited to his style, like Sterling, Mount, cutbacks galore, James getting forward, Chilwell getting forward, Cucurella getting forward. I think they'll create plenty of chances for Aubameyang. I think that style of play that Tuchel has suits Aubameyang arguably more than what he was expected to do at Arsenal. A striker at Arsenal and a striker at Chelsea are two different things. If you're a striker at Arsenal like Gabriel Jesus, the expectations on you to press, to link up play, to drift, to run, to finish, to get into the right positions is far greater than the striker expectations at Chelsea, which were previously occupied by Romelu Lukaku, is to be, a presence, is to get into the box, into those right positions, ready for those cutback opportunities. It isn't necessarily to do the same as what it is at Arsenal. So I think Aubameyang will suit Chelsea a lot more and probably score more goals than he did in his last season with Arsenal. I mean, he only got 4 Premier League goals in the first half of the season. I'd imagine he might end up getting more for Chelsea. But if we're honest, we look at their squad. They finished higher than Arsenal last season, comfortably in the end by a fair few points. I think that's a fair expectation indeed. Let's go to Tears of Disgust, who says, will Aubameyang remove his Arsenal tattoo? Pretty pathetic, joining a London rival. Shows that he's a clown. I would never go as far as that personally. I don't particularly appreciate a lot of the things that he did whilst it was at Arsenal, breaking disciplinary regulations and all of that. Would I boo him? No, I'm not a particular booer anyway when it comes to anything regarding football. I'm not happy seeing him go to Chelsea, obviously. And will he get rid of that Arsenal tattoo? Maybe he'll just cover it up with a Chelsea one. We'll have to wait and see. It's just, obviously, there's a lot of irony when he did that interview, when he signed that new deal about becoming an Arsenal legend. And, of course, very quickly afterwards didn't and completely declined at the club, but had a very strong end to the season with Barcelona last year. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see what happens. Tim says, do you think Casemiro will change agents, being given Mission Impossible when he was asked for a new challenge? Yeah. I don't really know how that one's going to work out, but I don't predict too well. I might be proven wrong. I hope I'm not, because I don't want Man United to do well, but I just don't see the sense in spending 70 million quid on Casemiro. I really don't. JDB says, Tom, if we went as far as the semis with the 8th place team that we had only losing twice, it tells you the level of competition. We should win it. The Europa League, it depends on the teams that are in it. It's not the same as like the FA Cup where you have the same teams every year. It's a changing competition. It depends on what teams are in it. Last year we had Barcelona in it and they didn't even reach the final. So there are variables in that Europa League that aren't necessarily the same as before. We've got to the semi-finals and lost to Atletico Madrid, a very seried winner of not only the Europa League, but of course competitor in the Champions League, get into the final and stuff. We've seen other teams like Frankfurt win it last summer, a very different competition then. We definitely, I think, missed out not being in that competition last year. I think we could have gone a lot further than we have done before. And by that, you'd have to say by winning it, because we've got to the final under Unai Emery. Daz says, how good are Nottingham Forest? I see they've signed a crazy number of players. They're a very good team last season in the Championship, but that side is completely different now. And if they are going to overhaul that team quite like they have, they are now facing the prospect of a Fulham repeat. If you remember when Fulham came up a couple of years ago, they spent a ridiculous amount on a number of players that couldn't then be integrated and didn't work together, and it sent them back down. And Nottingham Forest are now in a bit of a danger of that happening to them. They now have a good manager in Steve Cooper, of course, though, will be expecting to try and gel all of that together. But they're a team that shouldn't be underestimated. We have a very poor record when we go to Nottingham Forest, a much better record when we play them at home. But we need to be aware of that, and it will be a challenge when we have to go to the City Ground later on this season. And I look forward, hopefully, to going up there and watching it. That would be a great experience to go back to Nottingham, as always. Scott says, mate, I'm here. I've made it. You've made it indeed, my friend. Adrian says, Leroy Sané, deadline day. Pfft, no chance. Buy and let him leave on deadline day. Surely not. Anyway, we've been going for the half an hour, which means we bring ourselves to a close for the day. Drop a like on the video before you go. It really does help out the channel. Just takes you a second to press that like button, and it shows your support. If you want to do more to help support the channel as well, please do vote for us in the Best Club Content Creator Premier League category in the Football Content Awards. Information of how to vote is on the screen. And of course, you can find the link in the description. But if you just go to www.votefordtgt.com, it will create a tweet for you, which you just tweet, and that votes. That is the easiest way of voting in the competition. So there you go. But you can vote in multiple platforms, multiple times. So if you want to go do that, do that. Thank you so much for the support on the channel, as always, guys. I will be live after the game over on the Arsenal way, not here because I'm working the game today. I'm doing my 2 till 10 shift tonight. You'll also be able to feature on our Matchday blog if you want to tweet out anything during the game, if you want to tweet any videos, if you're going to the game. If you're going to the game, can you get in touch with me? By the way, I'm looking for a couple of people that might be able to help out with some stuff. If you are going to Bournemouth today for the match, do send us a DM and let me know. But you can get involved with our Matchday blog. All you have to do is tweet out your thoughts, tweet out your feelings, pictures and stuff like that. Use hashtag FLArsenal, and we can get you into our Matchday blog as well over on football.london. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I will see you a little bit later on. And yes, back tomorrow morning on the channel. But of course, a reaction over on the Arsenal way. See you soon, guys. And as always, up the Arsenal.